Hi guys, welcome to another practice vlog. I know I haven't recorded much lately. I found that recording every single time I practiced kind of made me not want to practice. Like if I didn't feel like recording that day, then I just wouldn't practice because what was the point in practicing if I couldn't record it? So I'm back here with the fourth movement. I just started it a week ago. I recorded a lot of great footage last week and it was all out of focus. So I probably won't show any of that to you, but I will try to kind of do the same things that I did last time that I recorded, just to show you, and because I need to work on it again anyway. So again, this is the fourth movement of the Reger's third viola suite. You can find my past vlogs up in the eye. I have a whole playlist of practice vlogs that you can watch whenever you want. This video does correspond with a blog post, which I will link down in the description box below, so please check that out if you want to read what I did this week. So right now I'm trying to focus a lot on adding musicianship right away when I'm learning something. So when I like to learn something, I generally do the technique and like I learn all the notes and everything first, and then I add on the phrasing and just like building characters and everything else that I want to add on. But I think it's important that we do that right away, and it doesn't really come intuitively to me right away, so I'm trying to do that with this movement because this suite really lends itself well to musicianship right away. Like in the first movement, there are all of those double stops where if you don't slow down into them, it's going to be basically impossible to do the technique. So they go kind of hand in hand with this suite, which is why I'm really focusing on it this time around. So last time I really focused on this section of double stops, and I think that's where I'm going to start today, just because it's really tricky and it's one of those spots where I need to get the technique really solid and the musicianship adds itself onto that technique. Alright, that was a lot stronger than where it was when I started it last week. I'm trying not to shift basically within each measure. So each measure and like the downbeat of the next one is kind of its own little phrase group thing, and I'm trying not to shift within those so that you can really see that these are kind of separate chunks. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on each chunk and try to get them a little faster and just shape them a little more. That was good. That one's easy. It's all in first position. So next one. I want that D sharp to be a little higher. I'm playing an open A in the second chord. And I really need to lean on the D string so the A isn't like blaring. Okay, so the next one's piano. So I can probably slow down into this one because we're coming into a new section. So I'm gonna try adding that on. Yeah, that's more what I want. Yeah, that's a little better. It's just a difficult measure. I'm gonna try putting these three measures together, really focusing on phrasing and how I want to shape this whole section. Yeah, that was pretty good. The intonation wasn't great in that last measure, but I liked the way I shaped it. So I'm gonna go a little before this, 2 measures before this starts, and just get into it and play this section again. Yeah, that was a lot better. That's really more of what I want. I'm just going to do this a few more times just to get used to it. Yeah, okay, I'm a lot happier with this now. So I'm gonna move forward This section is pretty hard. Last time I practiced just those lower descending double stops, and then I practiced just the higher ones. So I'm going to do that first. So these lower ones. Okay, not too bad. So the thing I have to focus on when I'm playing this is that these first two are both thirds, but one is bigger and one is smaller in my hand. Yeah, a lot more solid. Okay, let's look at the top ones. Okay, so this is the same double stop that I talked about earlier, but this time it's piano, and it's the open A and the C on the D string. So I really, really need to make sure that the A string isn't way louder than the C on the D string, because I have a pretty bright A on my viola. I have had a tonal adjustment done, but it brought down the A a little bit, but it's still a bit brighter than the rest of my instruments. So I'm always working on trying to control that, and I've gotten a lot better in the last few years, but it's still kind of hard. So I'm going to focus on making a piano and really lean on the D string to make that A a little less obvious. There's an A natural in this bar, and I keep thinking that it's a natural for the F, but the F is still sharp. So I'm just writing in a reminder. So I think as I'm tuning these chords and I'm kind of figuring out where my hands really need to go, I'm going to focus less on controlling the A string right now and more on intonation and where my fingers are going. And then I'll bring that in later once my hands know where they're going. Keep solidifying this. Okay, so I got that pretty fast that last time. So this time around, I'm going to play them in the rhythms. So they're basically 2 16th notes each. And I'm just going to try that, because that'll change things a little bit. Tune. I'm going to try something different now and play open strings for the lower double stops, so it'll always be C and G, I think. Yeah. And then I'll play these top notes. Okay, now I have to remember that my left hand isn't moving for those lower double stops. I'm only doing it with the bow to get what that's going to feel like. Try that again, maybe a little bit slower so that my mind can comprehend what I'm doing. So the reason why I'm doing it like this is so that I can get that string crossing feeling in my right hand, so I can get that bowing worked out and really good, and so that I kind of have time to go between each double stop, even though it'll be different in context once I add the notes back in on the bottom. But this is just kind of a way to add some more aspects into it without making it super, super difficult. So I'm kind of just going one step at a time, just building and building on what I'm doing. Okay, now I'm going to add the left hand in, and I'm gonna do it super slowly so that my mind has time to comprehend everything and so that my hands understand what I'm doing and I don't get all like tongue-tied, but with my hands, you know? too bad for the first time around. So just like I knew I would, I'm having trouble in between those first two lower double stops because they're both thirds, but they're different hand shapes. So I'm going to isolate this. So that time around, I didn't do the double stops on the top. I just played them once so that I could feel that progression of where my hand is moving and what it sounds like, and all of that. It's just kind of removing one of those extra layers. I'm going to play this in context now because I want to feel how fast it's going to be and what I think I should do with it. So again, I'm trying to add musicianship in right away, and I didn't focus on it very much in this little section, but I'm going to add that in now. So generally I would wait like a week or two before adding this in, but today I'm adding it in about like 10 minutes after. So I slowed down a lot through there, especially at the beginning of that section that I was just practicing, because that is kind of the low point. I can make it a little more relaxed, I guess, and less intense. And then as it gets louder, it's more intense and it can go a little faster, or at least I can like drive it a little forward. So there is a decrescendo right at the end of this section, and that means that well, it doesn't mean, but I'm going to let that mean that I can slow down into this new section, and that will kind of help with the intonation because I can just do it a little slower and I don't have to work on making it accurate in a really fast tempo. So I think I'm going to do this all on open strings because my right hand doesn't feel very good, and I think I can change something with it. I think the articulations are going to change when it's piano versus when it's forte in this section. I don't know how yet, so I'm just going to experiment. Yeah, that was a lot better. So it'll be a little more off the string when it's piano and a bit more on the string when it's forte, and also when it's a little higher up on the viola because it'll just sound better that way. I'm going to add the notes back in and hope that it all comes together now. Yeah, that was getting better. It's just adding in the intonation with all of that because it's a difficult section to play. I think I'm gonna move on to something else. Okay, I haven't run through this yet today, so I think I'm gonna do that now. So I felt like there were a lot of surprises in that. I guess it's been a few days since I worked on this, so there were a few accidentals and different things that I forgot about. So I'm just gonna start back at the beginning and kind of work my way through it. I started at the hardest section earlier in this vlog, so now I'm just gonna go to the beginning. So I definitely need to work on this measure with all of those accidentals in it. There are so many that I wrote in every single fingering in the bar. So I'm going to do this section really slowly, and I'm actually gonna zoom in on my iPad so that I can see the notes really well. Because I feel like I'm kind of guessing right now. start a measure, 2 measures before that, kind of at the beginning of this section, so that I can just get into it. And I'm gonna do it a little bit under tempo still, just so that I can get a handle on it. Nice, I'm a lot happier with that section, and it feels less like I'm guessing. My mind is still a little worried when I'm playing that measure, but I think that's just kind of from the way I was playing it before. So I know that my fingers know it now. It's just convincing my mind that my fingers know it. One more time and then I'll move on. Okay, so I feel like since I said that thing about my mind, it convinced myself that my fingers knew what I was doing, because I felt a lot more in control and less nervous when I played it that time. So maybe just talking out loud to yourself can help when you practice, because I'm just talking out loud basically to myself right now. So that might be able to help you if you're feeling nervous about a measure and you know that your hand, you know that you've got it, but just convincing yourself that you do. Okay, moving on. Okay, so this section is, okay, it goes by so fast in recordings, and there is an accidental that I'm not sure about, or just a note that I'm not sure about at the top of the second page. There's a C, and it's not labeled sharp or natural, but the second C in the bar is labeled natural, and then the third is sharp. So let's look at the bar before that. There's a C sharp in that bar. So do you think the C sharp was meant to be carried over into this bar and they just forgot it, since there's a natural on the second note? I think it sounds better as a sharp, because when I played it as a natural, it really drew attention to the natural, and then the D sharp right after was less special, and I think the D sharp is supposed to be kind of a special note. So I need to listen to more recordings. It just goes by so fast, but listen to it some more, ask around, just try it both ways too. But I'm going to do this section slowly because I don't know it very well yet. Okay, and I'm going to try to add dynamics and some phrasing into this too, so that I can really not just focus on only the technique, but everything at once at a slower tempo. Cool, I was pretty happy with that. I'm going to do the same exact thing, but a little faster. Oof, okay, that wasn't the right note. I didn't like that retardando very much that time. Again. Nice, I liked it that time. I still feel like I'm kind of guessing about some of these accidentals through the top line of the second page. I think it's because I don't have any fingerings written in, and I'm still kind of figuring out what I want to do. I'm just going to keep working on this and repeating it over and over again so that I can really understand it and just get to know it better. Nice. Okay, so I did kind of the phrasing that I wanted to do at the slower tempo, which is something I'm really happy about, and I found a fingering that I liked. So I'm going to write that in before I forget it. So I think this section is slightly different. Yeah, it's slightly different from the first time that this happened. So I learned it really well the first time around, and now I have to kind of relearn it because it's different. I'm going to write some fingerings in that I'm just gonna come up with, and then I'll try it and see how they are. All right, let's try what I came up with. Okay, that works a lot better. I just need to solidify this, so I'm gonna work on it slowly and then bump up the tempo so that I can get it faster and more up to tempo. And then there's only one other section that I need to work on this, and then I will have worked through the whole thing. I'm just going to work on these last two measures just a little bit, just get more comfortable with it. Nice, I was really happy with that. I'm running out of time to practice, and I made it the whole way through this movement, so that's awesome. That's what I wanted to accomplish today. So I'm going to say bye to you here, and I'm going to just run through this movement once by myself. Yeah, and I'll see you on another day.